Hey everybody, good morning. And we're going to have a quick meeting on how to access the paperless pipeline, reference, and all your checklist. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And again, this is our first attempt, so hopefully it will go smoothly. Everybody, it's a learning process, and I hope you're patient. So when you came on board, you should have received from Lindsay your access ID and the login information to go to ureintranet.com. So let me go ahead. This is what it's going to look to basically get to the paperless pipeline, or we can really start here. This is the, as I call it, the mothership, where you're going to have peak with all your database, with all your email marketing, and different varieties of things on there. What else is on there, Lindsay? Anything else you can think of that you want to add? Website?
Website, the company store. I think that's
okay. So we're going to kind of do this together. So here we go to paperless pipeline, and you're going to have your login information again that you received from Lindsay. We're going to go ahead and go to login. Now mine's going to look a little bit differently because I have, the admin part of it. So you're going to see open transactions on mine, open tasks. That's everybody as a whole. So this is going to be your retainer and your online filing system for all your transactions for one, which we're not going to go into that because we're going to go into something else today. We're going to go into reference. Reference is our online library and source for everything. So if you guys ever have anything that you feel that might be beneficial to the group as a whole, educational, neat checklists, anything like that, please let us know, and then we'll go ahead and we'll upload that as well. So what we're going to do, because the next session that we're going to move forward in is the residential sales contract. So my goal here today is to show you where you can access a lot of the different information. As you can see, the top one is policy, procedures, and guidelines, where your paperless pipeline manual will be. Different for short sale submission, social media policy. Let's see what here. This is something in the next category. You're going to see checklist required office docs. One new form that we just added, which I really recommend, because again, you'll hear me say this 1,000 times. I get all the horror stories, and I think this is a nice thing to include in your packets. This is actually just stating what you, in a summary, and that you want them to specifically initial that you have explained the home protection plan, that you have explained a building inspection, and that you're not in the position to be an expert. And in addition, our company policy is that you don't attend building inspections. You're opening yourself up for all types of liability. And the thing that I, again, recommend is for you to have a relationship with the building inspector that you feel confident with. That's their relationship. The relationship is not between you and them and the building inspector. It's between them and the building inspector. So, and then it goes into school districts and final walkthrough and survey. So again, this is, I don't know how many times when I was selling, I used to hear, well, you didn't tell me that, or I wasn't clear on that. So again, this is a good thing to set the expectation up front in the office during your consultation to make sure the whole thing goes smoothly. So that's one form. Since I was there, I wanted to show you. Another thing is, let's see. Here we go. We have our checklist here. We have the selling checklist, is which we're going to speak on now. So let's go ahead and click on that. We can open up original. So let me make my screen a little bit bigger, help you guys out. Okay, so these are the required forms and documents. Now, not all these are going to be required on every transaction. So what I suggest, first thing, is that you've done your consultation, or you're getting prepared for your consultation. I'd go ahead and pull this selling checklist and kind of get an idea of what types of forms that you're going to need for this transaction. And again, it might even be a great idea to have the forms out, go through the forms prior to writing the sales agree, the sales contract. Make them comfortable. It's fearful. They want to make sure that they're making the right decisions, and they're working with the right agent. You cannot educate them enough, nor can you communicate enough. Okay. So the closing transmittal, the referral agreement, we talk about this a lot, which is the MLS agent only format. When you write the sales agreement, I keep on saying agreement, I'm sorry. When you write the sales contract, please address the MLS sheet, the date and time when you're writing the sales offer, because there might be some information, bonus, they're leaving the chandelier, they're promising to do different things. When you make it part of the contract, it's part of the offer and has to be signed off by the seller. Again, that means nothing unless you put the date and the time in the sales contract and reference it to this particular MLS. Okay, if you have any questions on any of this, you guys, please let me know. Tax record, check your zoning. I remember I did a foreclosure once. Well, it wasn't me, it was one of my agents, and the property was listed by the admin as residential. Guess what? It was commercial. That person closed on that property and wasn't able to get an occupancy because it was in the city of St.Charles and could not be occupied. So make sure you check your zoning. Make sure you check who is at legal title, and so you know who's going to be signing the sales contract. Sales contract, we're going to get into in depth, of course. Counter offers, the same thing. Appraisal writer, FHA, VA writer. A lot of people don't think that you can use all these together. You can, and let me tell you why and when. An appraisal is always recommended, in my opinion, even on a cash deal, because although the person is paying cash, you still want to have the option to have an appraisal done, because if it doesn't appraise out, then that may not necessarily be the best purchase for your buyer. Now, let's just say you're in the beginning part of your negotiations and your relationship with this particular buyer. They think they may go conventional, but they're not sure because you haven't even written on a house, or you don't know what the circumstances are. So if there's ever a chance that they can go FHA or VA, send those with the initial offer. Let the listing agent know that there's a possibility that they may switch from conventional to FHA or VA. Just send it all over. It's the best way to do everything, is give as much information up front as possible. Okay, writers, it's going to be depending upon the transaction. We'll get into those individually. LeadBased Paint. This one always makes me laugh. Okay, so we all know that lead-based should not ever be apparent in a house unless it was built prior to 1978. I did call the MREC on this one because I got tired of agents asking me for this lead-based paint with the new construction, for instance. Okay, so you do not have to provide it if the home was built after 1978. But here's the kicker. You've got to indicate that somewhere. So if you do not want to include a lead-based paint, go ahead and include in the remarks that home was built after 1978, no lead-based paint or whatever. And maybe we may need to do some specific verbiage, or if you want to make a CBG or Berkshire, because they're going to ask for one, then just go ahead and do one. Okay, seller's disclosure. Seller's disclosure are for owner occupants, unless, well, let me stay with that. Owner occupants, and you do not fill this out for the seller, for if you have the listing side. If you do never fill that out for the seller. Okay, and of course, if you got the buy side, hopefully the agent has uploaded that online and you can present that and go through it at the time that you write the offer. Now, again, you guys, this is not for go and inspection. This is to the seller's best knowledge, whatever the heck that means. So play it safe, have him sign it, and then always still encourage an inspection. Now, the thing is with this, if it's non-owner occupied or is an investment property, which we'll often see, or you'll see this language such as seller has never personally occupied the property and encourages buyer to rely on a thorough inspection. Okay, sometimes you'll see those as well, which is meaning is that they have no firsthand knowledge. You still do your inspection, and the results of that inspection, unless it is described in the MLS or that is the property is being sold as is. Okay, so you still want to encourage your buyer to have as much information, and you still want to encourage your buyer to do an inspection. Okay, pre-approval, proof of funds. Proof of funds should be less than 30 days old. It could be on a bank statement. It could be a bank account. Please black out their personal information. Now, we're going to have a really big discussion on the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. So that's going to be coming up in another video. But the thing of it is that pre-approval should be less than 30 days old, should be presented with the offer. I would encourage or tell your buyer, of course, you're not in a strong position of negotiation when the seller can't even tell if you even applied for a loan. Now, again, I'm going to briefly cover this, but you guys, don't be afraid to ask for a stipulations page, which means you keep your lender accountable and that, you know, okay, so fine, you're giving me this letter that they can buy a $180,000 house. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you just ran their credit? Does it mean that this is only stipulated on an appraisal and insurance, which is wonderful, which can, you know, cut down your closing time and a bunch of different things. So be aware of that. Again, we're going to have a separate video for that because it's that important. Copy of Earnest Money check. There are some title companies that will give you a receipt, which is absolutely beautiful. You know that we do not hold earnest money, and the earnest money has to be presented with the offer, and of course deposited within 10 days to your preferred title company. All right. Authorization of release. I'm going to go through that at a different time. Basically, the overall of that means that you work with a team with your lender and that you're going to sit down and you're going to tell your buyer or conversate with your buyer that you need to have personal information. Now, you have to sign a buyer's agency for that, but you have personal information regarding their financial picture. You cannot, you guys, ever negotiate a contract unless you're crystal clear on how your client stands. Do you need closing costs? Do you need down payment assistance? Now, legally, the lenders are not allowed, of course, a lot of them break those rules, thank God, are not allowed to give you that information. But bottom line is this. Again, during your consultation, you're setting the expectation that you're letting your buyer know that you're going to be fully informed. No secrets, no holding back. We're all on the same page. We're here to get the best results. Okay. Inspection notice and inspection, of course, again, that is going to be a whole individual conversation pertaining to the sales contract. Let me tell you, these, I don't know how many deals, if I've mostly represented sellers, but these will make your deal fall apart every single time. My thing that I do want to say right now, set the proper expectation up for your buyer. It is not a full open house to say, I want this fixed, this fixed, this fixed. The numbers have to make sense. The requests have to make sense. The best way I like to set it up is what we used to do back in the day is this was for major systems. This is for roofs. This is for structural. This is for electrical. This is for plumbing. I had one guy ask me one time, I'll never forget it, to turn on the charter or the cable outlets to see if the cable works. And I didn't have the buyer, but I had the seller, and I told the buyer's agent, if they ask us for one more thing like that, it's going to cost them the deal. So make sure that you set up the proper expectation. If you saw carpet that needed to be replaced and you asked $5,000 off the list price, don't come back in and ask them to repair the carpet or it's already been addressed. But that we're going to get into a lot more detail. Final walkthrough, same thing. Of course, I would recommend you do that hopefully within 24 to 48 hours. Please try not to do the day of, because if there's any problems, let's just say you're closing is set for 2 o'clock on a Friday, you do the walkthrough, something happened, something wasn't left, there was water, whatever the case might be, you're really going to have to hustle to save that deal, especially if it's the end of the month. Oh my God, that's probably one of the worst case scenarios. So time your walkthrough. Again, talk to your listing agent, talk to the sellers, everybody work together and think of the best time. And more than likely, the seller stuff is not going to be out. So set your buyer up for that. Buyer agency agreement, that goes without saying. Missouri broker disclosure, that is required on every single transaction. And again, that's going to be a separate recording. Commission disbursement, closing statements from title, that's what we need to close the deal. So bottom line is, you guys, what's bolded are required for all contracts. And the others, of course, is going to depend upon the circumstances. So again, remember what we did? We pulled the selling checklist. And if you really want to be an ultimate organized OCD agent saving time, you'll take this same checklist and create a packet in your Forms of Us. Just put something basic, okay? So you have any questions? This is only the first step, and then we'll go to step 2. So talk to you soon, and let me see if I can get out of here. Let's see. Should be able to minimize it right here. Huh? We're having technical difficulties. There we go. No, we don't. You're kidding me. And my computer is frozen. Right here should be my little.